Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something that I think you're really going to appreciate, especially if you work with MongoDB. We're talking about those pesky slow queries that could really bog things down and how MongoDB 8.0 gives us a whole new way to tackle them.
Ah, yes, slow queries, a developer's worst nightmare. You're right, though. MongoDB 8.0 really changes the game when it comes to understanding why a query is running slow, and more importantly, how to actually fix it.
Exactly, and that's what we're here to break down today. Before we get into the specifics, let me just say that this deep dive will be super helpful for anyone working with MongoDB, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro. So, stick with us.
Definitely. In the past, if you had a slow query, all you could really look at was the total time it took to run. But that didn't always tell the whole story, did it?
Nope, not at all. It's like, imagine you're waiting in a really long line for, I don't know, the latest smartphone or something. The wait seems like forever, but is it because the line is actually that long, or is it because the person at the register is just taking their sweet time?
Perfect analogy. And that's precisely the problem that MongoDB 8.0 solves. Before, you had this one metric, the total duration, which was like measuring the total time you spent in that smartphone line, but it didn't tell you whether the problem was the line itself or the slow cashier.
Okay, so tell me more about how 8.0 fixes this. What's this new magic they've cooked up?
Well, the magic comes in the form of a new metric called workingMillis. Think of it as a way to isolate the cashier's speed from the length of the line. workingMillis tells us exactly how long MongoDB is actually busy processing your query. It doesn't include any time spent waiting in queues or anything like that.
Oh, I see. So it's like timing the cashier as they ring up each individual item, ignoring the time people spend waiting in line.
Precisely. And this is huge because now we can finally tell if a query is slow because it's inherently complex and inefficient, or if it's just stuck waiting for something else.
This is making a lot of sense. So when I'm looking at the logs in MongoDB 8.0, what are the key things I should be paying attention to?
All right, so there are three main metrics you want to keep an eye on. First, you have workingMillis, which, as we've discussed, is the pure execution time of your query.
Got it. That's the one we want to see nice and low, right?
Exactly. Then we have duration_millis. This is the total time it takes for a query to complete from start to finish. This includes any waiting time, so it's going to be equal to or greater than workingMillis.
Okay, so duration millis is like measuring the total time I spend in that smartphone line, from the moment I join the queue to the moment I walk out with my new phone.
Precisely. And finally, we have, well, it's a bit of a mouthful, queues.execution.totalTimeQueued micros.
Whoa, say that 3 times fast.
Right. Don't worry too much about the name. What matters is that this metric tells us how long a query was stuck waiting before it even got a chance to run.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's say I have a query that has a duration millis of, I don't know, 300 milliseconds, but the working millis is only 120 milliseconds, while the total time queue micros is like 180 milliseconds. What does that tell me?
Aha, that's a classic example of a bottleneck somewhere in the system. See, the query itself is pretty efficient. It's only taking 120 milliseconds to actually do its job, but it's spending way more time waiting in a queue than actually executing. This could be because of limited resources like not enough CPU or memory available, or maybe there are just too many other queries competing for execution slots.
Okay. So a high working millis means I need to work on optimizing the query itself. But if the total time queue micros is the problem, then I need to investigate why my system is struggling to keep up.
Exactly. Hi, workingMillis. It's time to look at your query structure, indexing, schema design, all that good stuff. If total time queued micros is through the roof, then you need to consider things like concurrency settings, increasing execution tickets, or even scaling out your database.
What if both are high?
Ah, well, then you have a bit of a double whammy. In that case, it's usually best to tackle the query inefficiencies first and then look into system resource constraints.
Makes sense. I'm starting to see how these new metrics can really change the way we approach performance tuning in MongoDB 8.0. It's like having a whole new level of insight into what's really going on.
Absolutely. You're no longer in the dark just guessing at what might be causing the slowdown. You have concrete data to help you make informed decisions.
No more wasting time optimizing a query when the real issue is something totally different. That's a huge win in my book.
Agreed.
So to wrap things up, it seems like MongoDB 8.0 has given us a powerful new tool in our arsenal for battling slow queries. By understanding these new metrics, workingMillis, duration_millis, and total time queue micros, we can pinpoint the root cause of performance issues and take targeted action.
Absolutely. And that means faster queries, happier developers, and a smoother running application.
Now, for all of you listening out there, I'm curious, how do you think these new metrics might change the way you approach query optimization in MongoDB 8.0? It's a whole new world of possibilities. Let us know your thoughts and what strategies you might use to address different performance bottlenecks. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.